I'm back! What did I miss?
Born where he lives, in the southern part of the state, in Aaron's Creek.
Well, shit! You know, I could easily just slap together a script about the underwhelming and piss-poor nature of AEW's women division, or how overbearing the amount of content they churn out is. But no, these topics have been covered ad nauseum by countless other wrestling YouTubers. I want to focus on something that has been bothering me for a long while now, but I have not seen it fully addressed anywhere. I'm writing this script on May 23rd, 2022, and I can safely say right now, bluntly put, AEW does not have a single believable champion right now, and here's why. Obviously, I'm not including the FTW Championship. Ricky Starks is probably the best champion in AEW right now, and not a single person can tell me otherwise. I won't be including the TBS title either because I don't think that title has its bearings yet, and it needs some more build before we could properly evaluate it. Starting with the AEW World Tag Team Championships, these titles were once incredibly prestigious. I'd even go as far as to say that when the Elite were feuding over them, they meant just as much as the AEW World Championship itself. These belts were built mainly through storytelling when the Elite feuded over them, the emotional tensions between Kenny Omega, Young Bucks, and Hangman Adam Page. After being put on the Lucha Brothers, these belts continued with a strong run, highlighted by high-paced, high-profile, high-quality wrestling matches instead of storytelling. Once the belts were put on Jurassic Express, like many, I assumed that they would follow in the steps of the Lucha Brothers and have incredible matches, especially if the severely underrated match of the Elite versus Jurassic Express and Christian Cage was anything to go by. So what defenses have been made since winning the belts? Well, they faced the Dark Order on an episode of Rampage. You know, solid enough. I love myself some John Silver. Good start. Then Private Party a whole 2 weeks later. Not what I had in mind, but sure, great team. Although it has been 3 weeks since the title change. I would hope for some more storyline progression to build to a high-profile match. Okay, it's fine. Oh, come on, the ass boys? AEW's tag division is probably the deepest in all of professional wrestling, and this is the storyline you're gonna go with? Okay, finally a high-profile match. Jurassic Express in a three-way against Redragon and the Young Bucks. Now on paper, this seems like a recipe for instant success. And you know what? It was an amazing match. The problem lies in the circumstances of it. When the Elite faced off against the Lucha Brothers, it was looked at as the Elite trying to defeat the Lucha Brothers. When the Elite faced off against Jurassic Express, here it was viewed as the Elite trying to defeat the Elite itself, with Jurassic Express as a mere plot device to hold the titles, which should never be the case for your champions. While they did come out on top, it wasn't viewed as a win by any of their own talent or skill, it was viewed as the Elite defeating themselves. Right now, the AEW World Tag Team Championships seem like an afterthought and background fodder to Elite storyline progression. There are so many tag teams not involved with the Elite that they could feud with and bring back prestige to the titles. A feud against Proud and Powerful would be stellar, building on the fact that both teams have been here since the founding of AEW. A feud against Kings of Black Throne will instantly elevate the tension around the championships, simply due to the menace of Malachi Black. Jurassic Express against Blackpool Combat Club would sell out an arena on the pure bonkers nonsense of seeing Bryan Danielson face off against a dinosaur. This is going to be a very unpopular opinion, but I was not a fan of Britt Baker.
Who's that Pokemon?
It's Tony Storm!
While her mic skills and crowd work was superb, like, come on, Britt Baker in Pittsburgh is right up there with MJF in Long Island. I could never get interested in her matches, and besides Thunder Rosa, her feuds lack any substance or actual danger of title loss behind them. Despite this, I did believe that her holding the title helped make it feel prestigious, especially after a dismal pandemic run with Shida. The exact opposite could be said for Thunder Rosa right now. While I am heavily into her matches and feel like any heel poses a threat to her title right now, she could really use a manager to talk for her. That promo segment with Serena Deeb on the May 5th edition of Dynamite made me turn off Dynamite for the first time since I started watching it. The main problems lie in the women's storyline and depth of their characters. Thunder Rosa, despite strong crowd support, is the white meat babyface to end all white meat babyfaces. She needs to show more than a willingness to defend her title against anyone, anywhere, anytime. And her opponents need more than just to want to be champion because Rosa is not quote-unquote good enough. They have all the star power in the world needed for a solid division. Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa, Toni Storm, Mercedes Martinez, Hikaru Shida, Kris Statlander, Nyla Rose, Ruby Soho, Riho, and Tay Conti are all viable contenders for World Championship status. Storylines that make sense and show complex characters will go a long way for this division. This one fucking hurts. I loved the TNT Championship, especially during the pandemic era when it had no right to have such quality behind it. I especially loved the absolute batshit crazy stunts Darby Allin would pull off to defend this belt. Anyways, looking at its title holders before Sammy Guevara, it reads as a real who's who of the AEW men's division. Cody Rhodes acted as the face of AEW, holding the championship. Mr. Brody Lee was a dominant figure, showcasing how a man could make a title more than the other way around. Darby Allin was a reliable Dynamite main eventer that literally defended the title with his body in most cases. And Miro tore up the entire mid-card with his reckless and brutal style of wrestling. However, since then, the TNT title has lost a severe amount of prestige. The backseat the title took to the Inner Circle breakup with Sammy Guevara was incredibly unnecessary. The flip-flopping of holders between Cody Rhodes and Sammy Guevara, and the flip-flopping of holders between Scorpio Sky and Sammy Guevara again, was also incredibly unnecessary. This feud of the TNT title and America Top Team has more than run its course. Don't get me wrong, the matches that have come out of the Sammy Guevara era have been consistently intriguing and top quality, but a title needs to feel like it's the light at the end of the tunnel, not a stoplight on a boulevard. I'm of the opinion that flip-flopping a title diminishes its prestige, rather than enhances it, simply due to the fact that a new champion should be the coronation of a new top wrestler of said division. So having it go from person to person in such a small amount of time rubbed me the wrong way. This effect is exacerbated by the fact that there's so many incredible men on the roster that could do so much with the TNT Championship, besides joke that they nutted on the belt. Andrade El Idolo is a name that immediately comes to mind. He was red hot for the title in the three-way between him, Darby, and Sammy. Loads of people were clamoring for Keith Lee to be fast-tracked to the title once he debuted. Hell, feed the title to Hook, to Malachi Black, to anyone in Blackpool Combat Club. Just bring back heat behind this once great workhorse title. Many people will disagree with me on this sentiment, and I could honestly see why. Since his match with Kenny Omega at Full Gear where he won the AEW Championship, Hangman's pair of matches with Daniel Bryan broke the internet. His pair of Texas Death matches with Lance Archer and Adam Cole were beautifully brutal, and the Dynamite defenses have been pretty solid. My problem lies in the potential that Adam Page has had as world champion, and how he has not been booked to that potential. The feud he had with Adam Cole should have been rooted in the deep history between the two, and should have possibly been elite shattering, or there should have been a trilogy of performances that pushed both of them to their limit. They very briefly touch on this history, but it barely impacted the feud in any way. Instead, it became more of, bad guys want all the gold, and good guys won't let them have it. Middle finger! The feud between Adam Page and Cole should have shifted the status quo, but instead it just felt like another feud. I wanted to see a ruthless side of Adam Page on Dynamite, One that let the anger get the better of him, or could let Adam Cole seem vulnerable and breakable. Instead, similar to the AEW World Tag Team Championships, Hangman became a backdrop for the Elite.
You've always just been known as the other Adam.
While this isn't necessarily Hangman's fault and more of a testament to how deep and talented AEW's roster is, multiple times throughout Hangman's run, I felt like the AEW World Championship was not the most prestigious, the most important, or the most exciting thing on Dynamite. That usually went to whatever MJF was doing, to be honest. But I do not think it is much to ask of your world champion to make them feel like the biggest draw on the card. Am I saying AEW is bad television and cannot build great champions? Lord no. AEW is the only wrestling show I weekly tune in to watch, and their past track record of champions is filled with future Hall of Famers and generation-defining talent. They're going through a rough patch in terms of title contention, and that's perfectly fine. Nothing can be perfect. The matches themselves for these titles are superb and should be applauded. The problem lies in the building of these stars. I love you! Whether they play second fiddle to elite storylines, haven't lived up to their potential, need a new facelift completely, or should just leave the American top team alone, AEW needs to change their status quo at Double or